Welcome to the Jill Sinclair Show, bringing you real conversations about business and life to help you to overcome your success blockers. Now, as always, remember to subscribe, rate, and review on whatever platform you're listening or watching this. And if you happen to be on Apple, smash me a big old 5 on that. Now, my DMs have been inundated with questions about, Jill, how do we get more sales? How do we increase our sales volume? What are we doing wrong? And by the way, slide into my DMs right now, Ms. Jill Sinclair on Instagram, any other questions you might have in regards to sales. So the biggest thing to think in regards to sales calls is you need to just compare it to when you're applying for a job. Literally, when you're applying for a job, what are you doing? You are looking to connect with this company and see, why would they hire you? A sales call is exactly like applying for a job. Why would they hire you for this? What do you have and only you have that they need? What is your product or service that they cannot live without? And once you establish that and understand what their needs are, not what you're selling, but what their needs are, you're going to get closer to the sales and closer to getting in front of that person that's going to be the decision maker. Now, when you're looking at this, you understand what do you have and why would they want to bring you on board for your product or for your service. So what makes you stand out? If you're selling a widget, why is your widget better? But first of all, why would they need it? Why would they need your widget rather than someone else's widget? Because you have to understand, how does their mind work? So guess what the first thing you need to do is? Be curious. Those of you who have been on some of my podcasts before and understood where I'm coming from with the principles of influence, the first principle of influence is to be curious. How do you know what your client or potential client wants? Unless you ask them those questions. Because if you don't ask them those questions, you are the one that is broadcasting and you're telling them who you are and what you have and blah, blah, blah. And you lost them at hello. Not in a good way with like Renee Zellweger. You had me at hello. No, you lost me at hello because guess what? You didn't care enough about me to ask me what I needed. Hey, so you have a pen. Why is your pen better than all the other people's pens? Why should I buy your pen rather than anyone else's? Well, tell you what, why is a pen important to you? What do you use a pen for? How can I help you to determine why you use your pen and what are the important components of a pen to you? Because they might be completely different than what my important components of a pen is to me. So again, you're asking the questions, what do they need and how can you fulfill their needs? So again, when you're calling, whether it's going to be cold calling or whether it's going to be a warm call, you have to establish that right away. What are you saying and why do I care? I still have people cold calling me and they're missing the mark 100% of the time. What are you saying and why do I care? How can you keep me on the phone to establish a great enough connection that we can move this to either an in-person or a Zoom meeting? What are you saying and why do I care? I just had someone from a coaching company call me. And this was actually the second call I've had from this company. I told them I was not interested whatsoever. I don't appreciate their business model. I don't appreciate how they go about business. We're just not in alignment. So the guy was on the phone and he says, oh, hey, Jill, this is so-and-so. And the reason I got your name was because you must have given us your email somewhere. Well, first of all, the guy has no legitimacy because he has no idea where he got my name from. And when he said the company, I said, oh, yeah, I've already had your people call me. I'm not interested. Thank you. What? You're not interested? No, thank you. Bye. And then I hung up. So first of all, did he make any connection with me whatsoever? No, he did not establish his credibility and he also didn't connect with me. He was very pushy and not in a way that I enjoyed. Then I think 4, maybe 5 days later, I get an email from the very same person and he says, hey, Jill, somehow we must have got cut off. I'm like, yeah, because I hung up on you. I said, no, thank you, goodbye, and I hung up on him. And guess what also? I had unsubscribed from this company months and months ago, unsubscribed. So could I bring them to court by them continuing to contact me when I very clearly said unsubscribe, and then on the previous phone call, I'm not interested whatsoever. So he's continuing to try and push himself on me without even understanding what my needs are. First of all, I don't appreciate your company. I don't appreciate the way you're going about business. I'm never going to be a client of yours. I'm never going to work with you. I'm never going to have anything to do with you because we're just not on the same page. So understand, if you're burning a bridge like that, if you're not developing that relationship, you are not going to get the sale. Now, everyone knows me. I am an aggressive individual. I'm also assertive, however you want to, word that. I am someone who knows what she wants. And I go about business that way most often. But first of all, I understand where my client is coming from. For the most part, I mean, if it's a cold call, I Google the crap out of them and then determine to my best ability what type of personality they have and what needs they have and how I can go about to establish that relationship. And then I go from there. But is this foolproof all the time? No. You might establish a relationship getting into the conversation, and then all of a sudden it goes a different way. Well, you have to be able to rebound and reconnect and be curious. So when you're asking the questions, you're not just bombarding them with questions. You're asking a question that leads to a next question. And you might think you're going this way with your questioning, but all of a sudden you're going, boom, you just took a detour and you're starting to talk about something different. Because again, you don't understand what the client needs until you ask them. So in my position as a business coach and executive coach, often one of the first questions I ask is, what is one of the biggest challenges you have right now with your staff or with your clients? That just opens up a huge world to me to understand a little bit more, to get in their heads about what they perceive. And guess what? Dollars to donuts, that's a really old saying, dollars to donuts, they will tell me every single time what some of their challenges are. And then I assess to see, is this my sweet spot? Is this something that I could indeed help with? And then we carry on the conversation from there. Of course, everyone knows that phrase, tell me more. Tell me more. Well, tell me why do you think that is? Guess what? When you're asking some of these questions, if they say, you know what, Joe, I'm really having a problem with my with my morale in my business. My sales team, they're just really low in their morale right now. They're not excited. They're not motivated. And I say, okay, well, where do you think it comes from? Where do you think it stems from? And you get inside their head, because guess what? It's their company. They should have an idea, but we start the dialogue, and then we start to ask them more questions about uncovering what those challenges are. And then I look at my sweet spot and say, you know what? I specialize in communications training. I specialize in being the motivational, unmotivational speaker. As most of you know, my next book is called The Motivation Myth. Motivation is just like a unicorn, hard to find and really hard to keep. So again, when we're looking at this, we see what is the biggest challenge they have and how can I serve them? How can I put my skills to in alignment with them to help them to be a better company, a more productive company? And again, you need to understand, where is that coming from? Why don't they have the morale? If we're going to go back to that subject matter, why don't they have the morale? Was someone fired recently? Is there someone that's a bully in the office? Is there unclear communication? There are so many potential reasons for this, but what that person has just done is they opened up the door to me to ask more questions about that and open up a discovery session for them. So all of a sudden, like, you know what? Okay, Jill, yeah, I like what you have to say. I love the way that you're going about business. You're asking me questions that no one else has ever asked me. Tell you what, I get that all the time when I'm on a cold call with someone or on a sales call. People always say this, Jill, oh my God, like, you ask questions that no one else asks. I'm like, awesome. Okay, let's take this to the next step. I can meet you on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. If you want to be physically distanced, we can also do this on Zoom. What's going to work best for you? And boom, because they've already said yes. They've already said yes. So I take it to the next step, the next level. And now if we go back to the analogy of a job interview, this is what I'm wanting to get. With your sales call, what do you want? You want to get in front of the person. Again, whether it's going to be on Zoom or in person, when you're on that sales call, whether it's a cold call, warm call, hot call, whatever it is, your goal is to get in front of that person so you can get them to sign a contract and to do business with you. So the next step is getting in front of them, again, whether it's going to be on Zoom or in person, and that's what you want. And that would be called the interview if you're calling for a job somewhere. What do you want to do? You want to get in front of them because you want to be able to sell yourself to them. And again, once you've gotten that interview and once you've gotten that sales call and a meeting with that person, you want to do even more deep dives and find out what else is making this company tick, what else is making this person tick. How can you bring more value? And so in your questions with this person, you're starting to ask that. How can I bring more value to you in my skill sets? I've got this, I've got all of these things that I know are in alignment with what your vision statement and what your mission statement is in your work. And they're like, holy shit, you know this? Yeah, I did my research on you, because isn't that someone you want to work with? Someone who knows about your business, someone who's done enough research that we can have a very level conversation, and they're blown away every single time. So do your research and really think about this. Your sales call is literally like a job, like a pre-interview. You're looking to get an interview with this person. So you're basically applying for a job. Every single time you make a sales call, you're applying for a job. Always think, what do I have that's different than anyone else, and why would they want to hire me? Why would they want to sign the contract? Why would they want to bring me on board? And every time you have that in your mind, then you ask more questions. The principles of influence, the first principle of influence is to be curious, ask enough questions that you can understand how you can serve them better. So hopefully that's going to be helpful for you. Hit me up in the DMs. Go to Instagram, Ms. Jill Sinclair, as well as go to Clubhouse. I'm going to be hosting a few more sessions. Well, not a few more, a lot more in the coming days and weeks. So I'm Jill Sinclair on Clubhouse. And as always, go to jillsinclair.com and give me a comment in there. Anything else you want me to cover? Because remember, the Jill Sinclair Show is all for you. I'm here for you to answer your questions and help you to uncover your success blockers and be successful in life. So as always, subscribe, rate, and review on whatever platform you're listening to, and I'll see you next time on the Jill Sinclair Show.